Hey guys, it's SF and a commentary video after a very long time, and this one is going to feature the three new ascensions in Japan: Nanami, Hikari, and Independence or Montana. I'll be talking about their uses in terms of future and in terms of what they bring to you right now in Japan, in terms of Japan dungeons right now, and stuff that's past as well. Talk about the changes and talk about usefulness and stuff like that. First, I'm going to start off with Nanami. She got a crazy amount of changes. First off, she's not slow anymore. She has about 370 speed. Ability doesn't change, no gravity barrier. Attack does dip down from her evolve version, but that's what you get for a speed when you change from a power type to a speed type. And she's also now a bounce character instead of a pierce character. Strike shot is Agnamuto X strike shot, so all the monsters she hits, they will bounce up, and the more times she hits that monster, the monster will keep on going up, and then the bounce damage, the drop damage will be greater the more times you hit. Bump combo homing 18 instead of the EX laser, and then sub combo is a close spread shot 9. So the same sub combo as Sarada Yukimura. Very it changed for the better. That's one thing. She shot off really high now. Before she was kind of okay. She can somewhat do Izanami, but now she is like top 3 pick for Izanami, probably just under Napoleon and Margaret. But in terms of other dungeons, Izanami, she's very good in Izanami, so a lot better. So you can probably stack a few Nanamis along with a Marg and a Napoleon, and you can clear Izanami really good, really fine. And of course, she's a bounce now, so you can do pinch shots between the walls and Izanami's head on the last bar, or like on the first bar. You can do a lot of damage as well. But in terms of other dungeons, not much really changed in terms of her viability in other dungeons. She's just more usable, and she does a lot better. She's really good at farming, normal dungeon farming now, with her homings and the close spread shot. In terms of dungeons that are out in NA right now, very good for Hydra. Lots of mob clearing that needs lots of mobs and lots of laser barriers. So something like Margaret's not the best. Surtur, lots of mobs as well. So she's pretty good at. Nanami's pretty good at mob clearing and other stuff. Other dungeons in terms of the future. Very good for Yamato. Okay in Yamato Takeru. I wouldn't say she's really good. Yamato Takeru just has a wide range of viable monsters. So anything that's bounce and no gravity barrier, she's really good. So Margaret can actually do Yamato Takeru, but Nanami can do it as well. And she's also really good for Tsukuyomi. Not very OP. In Tsukuyomi, just okay, okay monster. If you've seen my Tsukuyomi video that I put up a few days ago, 1 or 2 days ago, she can be on that team, but I wouldn't pick her for the monsters I already have. So I wouldn't pick her over. I might pick her over like Murasame, but I won't pick her over Ryoma or the Kufu I think I use Kufu as my third monster. So, but in terms of overall, now she's really good. She's very viable. But in terms of all the monsters that are very out right now, I wouldn't pick. She's not that high up. She's like above average. Not really above average. Like kind of like in terms of if you're doing like S tiers and stuff like that, she's an A. And if you think S is the highest, she's like either a B plus or an A or an A minus. Why? Because there is a monster out there that's pretty much the same as Nanami, which is Lube. What Lube is actually better than Nanami for a lot of reasons. So Lube is no gravity barrier plus a no warp, so an extra ability right there. Stats, I think Nanami has a higher speed than him, but that's just whatever. Strike Shot is a command SS, so something like Roma or Napoleon, so kind of easier to hit. And while Lube is a bounce character, so it's kind of not that, so it is harder, but in terms of using that SS effectively, but it can do more potential damage than Nanami's Strike Shot. And why I kind of like compare Lube to Nanami is because the bump combos are the same, so it's homing 18 and then close range spread shot. But if you're talking about and he's a light monster, so not much what you call it. So he doesn't really have a weakness, a weak dungeon, except if you want to like talk about dark dungeons, and then he's like really bad and because he takes more damage, but he does dish up more damage as well. But so Lube kind of better than Nanami, but of course Nanami does Izanami better than Lube. Lube can do Izanami as well, so that's all it. But Lube does do Tsukuyomi better than Nanami because Lube is a light character and Nanami is water. So some differences in that in terms of impossible, and Yamato Takeru, they're both pretty much the same in terms of ability. I think Lube is probably better because he does have a better strike shot in that for that dungeon, but that really depends on your positioning and what you want in terms of other monsters. But that is Nanami. She really improved, but she improved for the better. She's a lot better than the evolved version, but she is just little bit under the really OP characters. But pretty good, very good. Next up is Hikari. Oh yeah, also Nanami can eat exciting fruits, so you can stack 4 Nanamis and then they can buff each other's stats, so it does a lot. It becomes even more OP. But Lube can eat fruits as well, so that doesn't really change the comparison. Next up, Hikari. Speed didn't change in terms of the types. Still a bounce character, flight, no gravity barriers the same. Stats wise, I'm not really sure. You can compare it after. Strike Shot is a lightning meteor, same as Zeus. Probably a less powerful lightning meteor than Zeus itself. And of course, bounce is kind of harder to hit all the enemies. But the lightning does do a lot better than does do quite a amount of damage. It's really good for wave clear. Bump combo is a piercing spread shot and an all attribute homing 10, so 2 shots of each element, and each homing shot will home in on the monster that is weaker. So if it's a fire homing shot, it'll move into a wood mob or a wood monster, so something like that. She did improve, and she's a lot better now, especially because of her strike shot. And her bump combo was really bad in her evolve form. Just a spread shot and just a spread shot, and her strike shot was not really that well to actually make her kind of average it out. Because it's not like kind of like Roma, who has a really meh bump combo, but a really strong strike shot and a very strong ability engage. So a piercing spread shot is pretty good. And of course the homing does help a lot in terms of stuff like scorpions and mob clearing as well. And of course the meteor does do a lot more damage than her original strike shot, which was becoming a pierce monster and just a pretty giant speed up. She did improve in terms of viability. Not well, of course you can do Yamato Takeru, and you can probably take her into Izanami. Very good wave clear, mob clear in Izanami. What else is there? You can bring her to Tsukuyomi as well. She's very fast, and she she's a better, and she does have the attack threshold that you need for Tsukuyomi. And but if you're comparing Hikari and Nanami in terms of Tsukuyomi, I think Nanami's better, even though Hikari is a light monster, just because the close spread shot is really good. And wait, let me think about that. I think, yeah, it's pretty much the same, but I do like the close spread shot sub in terms of Nanami than Hikari's all homing and the piercing spread shot. In terms of strike shot, the meteor does more consistent damage. Does do more damage in terms of Tsugumi herself, but she doesn't have that much HP to begin with, and both strike shots do have mob clear capabilities, so that's all you really need for Tsugumi as well. But she can also eat a fruit, and probably you can buff each other's stats, and she's the same class, so she's a mech, so same as Nanami, so you can eat a fruit that increases attack, HP, or speed of robot mech monsters, and then you can buff each other's stats that way and stuff like that. So those two really work together pretty well in terms of monsters, in terms of dungeons with a lot of no gravity barriers. So she improved for the better. Next is Independence. If you haven't joined the Facebook group that I kind of moderating, I am very vocal about her and how bad she became in terms of her ascension. So ability is a Fiend Slayer M, gauge shot of no warp. Stats are pretty much the same. Attack went down, but that's because there is an attack boost for the gauge. Strike shot is a giant laser, same as Tiger. Bomb combo homing didn't change. It is still homing 18, and it focuses on weakened monsters. And reflecting laser S3 with a very, very weak power. Well, it is a sub thing, but why I think it is bad is because she became a Fiend Slayer M. Before, in her evolved version, she is a Fiend Slayer L. Fiend Slayer L does 2.5 times more damage to Fiend monsters, and she became a Fiend Slayer M, which is only 2 times. And if you're wondering, no warp. Fiend dungeon bosses does not have warp, except for maybe Vicious. I think Vicious has a warp gimmick there, but his dungeon is mainly no damage walls. It's mainly damage walls, so that doesn't help, and it reduced her attack very significantly. Strike shot, giant laser, easier to hit than her evolved version, but it does less damage. When I tried it out, it was about 400,000 on the weak spot of a boss that's not a fiend. So if it's a fiend, then it'll do like 800 to 900,000. But if you use the evolved version very well, you can do over 1 million in towards fiend monsters with her strike shot, and it does more utility because it breaks drones. Because there are some fiend bosses that have drones, and even if there's no drones, there's probably shields, just like the earlier ones like Origa and stuff like that, and it does do some damage to those shields. But now in terms of fiend monsters, the Ascent version is worse. Now if you're talking about no warp dungeons, very heavy no warp dungeons like Kushinada is one of them. You can probably use her to get carried in Kushinada. Sorry for that. You can probably get carried for Kushinada because no warp heavy, but there are a lot more farmable monsters that are better than Independence that can be carried. Something like Hydra, something like Krishna, or even a Luck 90 Dragon is probably better than Montana in and Independence. So, and she is very hard to ascend. Her dungeons are very hard. Da Vinci, if you don't have the right characters for her, she's very hard. Just stacking null damage wall monsters is not enough. You need like specific good null damage characters just to have a good chance. Something like Arthur, something like Zeus. Maybe an Izanami just for wave clear, but Da Vinci's hard, and Vicious is hard as well. You need null damage wall characters that are water, because he does a hell lot of damage, and he's a fiend, so yes, the evolved version of Montana does kind of work if you can avoid all the damage wall. And I do have a video of him where I run no damage, Independence, but it's still very hard. That dungeon is very hard. He's very hard hitting, and it's hard because there's lasers barriers, I think, in that dungeon as well. So one-way character is not that good. I don't remember. I think I used no there. I'm not really sure. Check that video out and see how hard you think that dungeon is. So the cost of ascending Independence for a very meh ascended version is not that great, and I'm very vocal about it. So, and I really don't like this one. A lot of people in Japan don't like this one either. I do have a friend that has her as a friend, as her first slot, as the first slot. So I might use it in the future, but maybe future there will be a fiend boss with no warp gauge, with no warp, very heavy no warp gimmick. But even so, that doesn't really stop you from using the evolved version just because it does more power. A lot of fiend dungeons right now, there are a lot of gravity barriers. People still bring the evolved version into that, even though it kind of stops her, and people bring her into Slash, which is only mines, which does a lot of damage, and no gravity barrier on the last bar. Some people still bring her just because of her Fiendstar L, and the Fiendstar M doesn't really deteriorates your damage in terms of her damage into fiend bosses, and that doesn't really make you want to bring her into those dungeons. So yeah, so that's it for the 3 new Ascensions. They are out right now, and I'm kind of looking for friends in that department, so I can use them in my videos. I don't have any of those monsters except for Independence. I do have two, so I'll probably ascend one and keep the other one evolved. Sorry about that, and I hope you guys like it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.